Welcome to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, your host. So glad you could join me. Another fantastic guest that I've asked back because he has so much to offer us when it comes to dog training. His name is George DeCosta. He's the author of a book. He's a dog trainer and an avid hunter. This guy speaks our language and can help us with so many aspects of getting our dogs to be better performers in the field. Hey, here's a hint for you. It often starts with us, not the dog. Well, George will elaborate on that and a whole bunch of other subjects that will help us this season and many seasons into the future coming up right here on the Upland Nation podcast. That's not all, though. We'll fix it by finding a few late season destinations where, well, winter hasn't quite locked everything into its icy grip. And then I polled your dogs and asked them how they thought you were doing this season. You might be surprised at the results. It's all coming up after a brief message. We're made possible by Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrulockChokes tubes, Purina Pro Plan Sport dog food, Sage and Breaker gun care products, Cable Gang's tie-out systems, Pointer shotguns, Heartland Lodge, and HiViz sights. Well, this is about the time when you start reminiscing about recent hunts because you got to start building up that library for the off season, right? I'll share one with you that was fascinating in a lot of ways. You know, I hunt a lot in the Great Basin of the West. That's that big desert where all the rivers go to die. They all flow inland, or in the case of the ones that are over in the east, they flow westward into this gigantic low spot. And that's kind of the flavor that I'll convey today. My good friend Dave and I were hunting. Well, first off, the joy of hunting places that are really close to bird camp that you drive past all the time. Dave hadn't ever seen a Hungarian partridge, let alone shot one. So I said, well, I got one last year at this spot, and it's right up the road here. Nobody goes there. So we did. And sure enough, we started at the bottom of this beautiful, I'll call it a valley, not a draw, because it was broad at the bottom, had a creek bed winding through it. We started at the bottom, hoping that we'd run into those Huns, which I did the last time, right there on the hey, but wait, the creek is dry. And this happens a lot out there. They'll have water most of the year or part of the year thanks to the snow melt in the surrounding mountains. But eventually it just sinks into the ground. Well, that's where we started our hunt, was at the dry part of that stream bed. We walked up that stream bed and didn't find Huns first. We found valley quail. Had a good time on a good-sized covey of valley quail. And of course, if you've ever hunted valleys, you know, they are probably the most accommodating game bird when it comes to helping your dog look good. Once they're scattered, and you hunt out a single or two, and that's all I'll take. In fact, all I've ever taken out of that covey in particular, they'll hold tight. And you have plenty of time to catch up to your dog and put those birds into the air. Well, we had a wonderful time with that. As we moved up the creek even further, there they were. The Huns got up, but they got up wild and too far away, and unusual for Huns. They kept going. They don't usually do that, but this is broken country, and there's lots of places for them to dodge and weave, and they did. So we didn't even have the chance to chase that covey once it moved. But we kept walking, and sure enough, there's Flick down in the bottom of that creek bed where it's a little bit steeper and more water running. Yeah, we finally found the water. Just keep walking upstream. That's one of the lessons. And he was locked up. Well, Dave's dog, his young Brittany, Prez, came in behind him, and for a minute, we had a 1-year-old backing an 8-year-old. That's about the time the covey got up. We both dropped once again. And maybe there's something to this. We both dropped the same chukar on the first shot. Both got another bird on the second shot. We didn't share that one. But that happens a lot with us, and I'm just wondering why. There's probably some physics reason in there, or maybe something a little deeper. So we had a great time. We walked it back down, and in fact, I was there just a couple days ago and walked it from the top where the spring starts all the way down to where it just basically dries out, right there on the valley floor. Now, just for giggles, later the same day, I did the opposite. I hunted a different canyon by myself with Flick, where the water kind of oozed to a stop at the bottom of the draw, and as we went up, it vanished. So did the birds, of course, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, that's what we're up to out here in the West. I know you guys are up to a lot out there everywhere else, and that's really cool as well. In fact, I thought it would be fun to poll your dogs. Of course, you had to help them because they can't type very well. They don't have thumbs and all of that. But in a recent newsletter, I asked your dogs to rate you so far this season. And the good news is 2/3 of you are doing just fine in the eyes of your dog. 67% of you deserve more treats. Well, another 17% of you say that they don't need to quite use the e-collar as much as they thought they would. And then my segment of the population, 15% of the dogs, said, we are in the doghouse. I know what it is with you, Flick. Yeah, absolutely. My shooting sucks once again. And I blame it all on gun mount. Too rushed, and then lift my head off the stock. But that's not my problem. That's your problem, Flick. But I'll do my best from now on, I promise. Hey, I ask you a question, or I ask your dog a question in every edition of the newsletter. So if you're not getting it, go to findbirdhuntingspots.com and pick up, subscribe. It's free. Subscribe to the Upland Nation Insights newsletter and take the next survey. We're brought to you in part by pointershotguns.com. You name it, they've got it. From youth models to case coloring to all the classic finishes on the metal, beautiful wood, some colors with the Cerakoting, and lots of sub-gauges. In fact, if you can't find a sub-gauge gun anywhere, go to pointershotguns.com, identify the ones you like, and then go shopping. You could do that at lots of local dealers. Find a list at pointershotguns.com and at most of the big box stores from Bass Pro to Sportsman's Warehouse, Turner's Outdoorsman, and Cabela's. pointershotguns.com. And take care of your guns as I do. First thing I open up at the end of the day is my truck vault, where I pull out several Sage and Breaker products, use them on my gun so that it's ready for the next hunt the very next morning. SageandBreaker.com is where you get all of the information on all of the products for taking care of your gun, transporting it, and even storing it. Yeah, lots of consumables, but also lots of great videos. If you want to learn how to take really good care of your gun, Fred Bohm and his team over there have got a lot of videos that you can watch, whether it's a semi-automatic shotgun or even a handgun or a rifle for that matter. Watch the videos, learn, and then sign up for the email list. That's where you'll get news on the new products as they come out. SageandBreaker.com. Here it is. That's George DeCosta's book, Tips and Tales on Training Your Bird Dog. I've learned a lot from it, and you will too. But we'll learn a lot from the author right now. George DeCosta, welcome back to the Upland Nation podcast. Hey, we're on video.
Hey, well, thanks for having me back. They're right. It makes you look 10 years older. I can see it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it anyway.
And 10 pounds heavier, too, but let's not go there.
Okay, all right. Sounds great.
You reminded me before we started, way back, I can't believe I'm saying this, 10 years ago we met at the NAVDA Invitational in Ohio, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was in Ohio. Yep.
I still have such fond memories of that that event for so many reasons. I gotta quickly tell you, we're sitting there looking at each other that night in the hotel room, and I said, we're sleeping in Pennsylvania, we're commuting, we landed the plane in Virginia, and we're doing the Invitational in Ohio.
Yeah, pretty amazing, huh? Yeah. I drove there, so God. I went through a ton of states. It was really fun, though. I enjoyed it. I'm going to mention this, and I don't want to get teary-eyed. I don't want to see all your listeners see an old man cry on this podcast. But when I was at the Invitational, I was walking around the hotel, and I was actually looking for somebody who needed help with one of his dogs. And I had my girl Coda with me, and she was just healing without the lead. And I was walking through the hotel and looking. I couldn't find the person, and then you were watching me. You were checking in or something with your cameraman. And I walked by at some point, and you go, "Hey!" And I looked at you, and you told her, "Now that's a well-trained dog." And I was like, "Thank you." I was so proud of her, and I lost her this past month, and that was really, really hard.
Oh, I can imagine. So, yeah. It's never easy. We'll never do a podcast on that topic because nobody will get through it dry-eyed. Yeah. But she was a phenom.
Got my clinics. She was. When I talk about her, my second book's actually dedicated to her. If you ever watch the movie Secretariat, they talk about Secretariat wanting to show off when it was time to race. He saw the crowd and got amped up to show off. That was Coda. That's one of the reasons I look so good, is because she made me look so good. When it was time to do demonstrations, she just turned it on, and she made me look good. So thank you, Coda. I miss you.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I'm around horses a lot, and there are horses like that. Most of the ones I see in that world are cutting horses or roping horses, but even some of the ranch horses I deal with are just, they know when the spotlight is shining on them, and they know what to do. And you had a dog like that. But wait, you said your second book. Tell me about that.
Well, my second book is, when I wrote the first book, Tips and Tales on Training Your Bird Dog, I got literally thousands of messages saying they enjoyed the book and they learned a lot from it, but they really enjoyed the stories that were in between the training chapters, because the stories made it personal, and also related the training to actual life events. And they asked, "Are you going to do a book with stories? I enjoy your stories." And one of my favorite authors growing up was Gene Hill. I'm sure you know who Gene Hill was. And I'd read all his books, and each chapter would be a different story about a fly fishing or a dog or a hunting trip. So my second book is just that. It's in the style of Gene Hill, where every chapter is just a story. And that's the book I said was dedicated to Coda. I have a lot of people just writing me that they feel like they're my friend, just like I did with Gene, because all the stories, they feel like they're there with me on the hunt or whatever it is. So yeah, that's my second book. It came out about a year ago, I think, or so. And
if we want either of those books, we're going to go to huntinggriff.com.
Just go to Amazon. That's the easiest way. Just go to Amazon. You can Google my name and it'll come up. And yeah. So that was my fun book with just a lot of different stories.
Great, fantastic. And it's so true. And here on the podcast, everybody knows I'm an old teacher from way back, and I want to teach. But I'm doing my best, everybody, to tell a few more stories myself. So thanks for the reminder, Georgia. Prod in the ribs always helps.
Speaking of from way back, one of the things I did when Coda passed away, I actually had to take her in, but the following day, it was just too hard to stay in the house. So I packed up the trailer, I have her son and her grandson here, and I went out camping and did some chukar hunting. And two of my friends were out there that joined me. One's named Sherman. The other one's name was Bill Rice. And we got an email. You were, I think, going to do a podcast with George Hickok, and I got a text from you, and Bill was there. And Bill said, "You tell Scotland," and I said, "Hi," because I guess he had some kind of training thing 30 years ago or something in Oregon, and you were a part of it.
This is talk about a small dang world.
Yeah.
Bill Rice, I have you to blame for getting into the bird dog game.
Oh, so there you go.
If you're listening, Karen's got something to talk to you about. My wife, we moved to Bend, Oregon, in the middle of winter. Our little neighborhood of 5 homes was populated by the best people on earth, Bill being one of them. Bill said, "Hey, we have this group. You just got a dog. You just found out it was a bird dog. Come join the group." We became friends. I lost track with Bill. He's now some mucky muck in the Forest Service, I believe.
He's retired from it now.
Oh my God.
We're getting old.
But he's the man. So Bill, among others, you're the guy I have to thank for all of this. And thank you, George. That's a great story. Go ahead.
So I'll tell you another story about Bill. Last year, Coda couldn't hunt, but what I would do, every hunt she would be out there with me and she would stay in the car. And at the end of the hunt, what I would do is I would have somebody, and I did a hunt with Bill. Bill did this and he was so touched by it. I'd have somebody grab a gun. I'd take her out of the car and she would walk, and I would throw a bird over the top of her and have somebody shoot a gun. And she was deaf, but she could feel the, repercussion of the gun. And she would go bring that bird, pick it up and bring it. It might be a 10-foot, 15-foot retrieve. And you could literally, even Bill said it, you could see the smile on her face. That's all she wanted to do, was deliver that bird to me at the end of the day. So I did a hunt with Bill, and he has an older griff. She's about 10 now, I think. And we hunted that day, and I told Bill, at any time, these dogs, anybody who's had older dogs knows that they can hunt, and then they start slowing down. And then all of a sudden, they change. They just kind of start shutting down. And I mentioned to Bill, you got to be careful because you're putting in a lot of time with this dog, and those older dogs, it takes a toll on them, and they can shut down. You need a pup. And and he was like, "What?" And I said, "You need to get another pup." So I bred my and we're not trying to sell pups here, guys. They're all spoken for years in advance. I bred my stud CK to a dog here close by in Oregon, and Bill's getting a pup in 4 weeks. So
you'll have a chance to see him. Give him my best. Thank you very much for bringing him up. Yeah. He took me on my first chukar hunt. In fact, I'll tell you that story because it's so hilarious. I'm a dumb music major. Bought myself one of those Remington 870 Expresses. Back in the day, you could buy them for $129.
Yeah.
And we're at the bottom of the hill, and then I said, "How many shells should I bring?" And he says, 3 boxes.
Wow.
So I'm dumping, 40 pounds of lead into my crappy vest.
Yeah.
And then I says, "Well, let's go hunting." And he says, "No, we don't start hunting until we get up there."
Oh, yeah. Chukar hunting in a nutshell right there, huh?
And Bill, I've been back to that Rattlesnake Canyon a couple times, and that's all I found there, by the way. But I want to talk first about why Griffons. I mean, you're really fond of this breed for who knows what reasons. We all have our reasons. What are yours?
Well, I want to say that I love all breeds. I've had Brittany's and German Shorthairs, and we worked in Naster with English Pointers, and I do love all, and I love working with all breeds. I truly do. And people ask me this question a lot, and I say and I am tempted every once in a while. I'm tempted to take another breed, just to have a different dog. I could live and enjoy and love any breed, but I'll never be without at least one Griff. And the reason is they seem to have a bond with people. And some of the dogs have really good bonds. My Brittany, I had a really close bond too, but they seem to have a stronger will to please and bond to somebody. And I just love that feeling. I do. I just love that feeling. And that's why Griffs are just special to me. All dogs are special to me. I will not be without a Griff because I love the bond that they have, the will to please. And when they look at you, they look into your eyes and into your soul. And there's a lot of dogs that don't do that. So
That's true, and we don't need to name names in that regard, but it's funny you bring that up because I was on a hunt not 3, 4 days ago in chukar country, and for all I know, you've been up in there. This is a walk that starts at 4,300 feet and ends at 6,800 feet. And when you get up to that elevation, it's basically rocky outcrops with massive open fields, if you will, inclined fields of cheatgrass and bunch grass. And I'm just watching my dog, and I'm watching him go back and forth, and then he's watching me watch him. It's as if we finally connected. And a lot of other examples of that happen now, especially in the field, but even when you're not in the field with this dog. He's 8 years old, so we finally figured it out. The connection, the mental telepathy has finally bloomed between me and that dog. And so I know what you're talking about. And while our dogs are distantly related, I understand why that would keep you in the Griffon fold. Absolutely.
yeah, that's it. And I don't think there's anything better than that. When you bond and you're working as a team with your dog as a companion out in the field, and there's other, I guess what I'd say, professions and instances, like maybe a blind person with their dog and a military person or a police officer that have to create that really tight companionship bond. A hunter and their companion dog is every bit that much, and maybe a little more, because we're working together as a team out there trying to track down a chukar that's saying, see you later, alligator.
Yeah.
It's very special. To me, the whole thing is very special.
When I wrote my last book, which may not be my last book because I just got a royalty statement from the publisher and I'm kind of tempted to write another one.
Oh, good for you.
but the editor said, you didn't write a foreword, so you have to give me, 800 words on why you're writing this book. And it was on that. I just sat down and hammered it out in one night. Here's why it's so cool, because we've got that bond. It's us and them. We got a common goal. We're working towards the same thing. Even back in the day, we were working to bring meat back to the tribe, whatever it was a cooperative effort, pardon me, that required us to rise to another level, to communicate on a nonverbal basis. And that's what we do.
Absolutely.
We're still not, we don't have to feed the tribe anymore, but we're still going through the same motions.
Absolutely. And I'm not plugging my book here, so I don't mean to sound like I am. That's what my training method is based on in the book, is building that bond, building that companionship. If you have a dog that wants to please you and wants to work for you and with you, you can do anything with that dog. And I think it all goes back to you said horses. I worked a lot with horses, but that bond was built many, many, many eons ago between man and their horse and man and their dog. I think it's there. And Griffs, for me, have another level of that.
And they smell like a horse sometimes too.
Yeah. Don't they all? I'm if you don't mind, I'll throw out a tip real quickly here.
Great.
For you.
Sure.
Okay. You were mentioning the rocks and chukar hunting. And I get a lot of people that email me or text me or go on one of my pages and say, my dog's pads are all raw. What do you do? Do you use boots? Do you use this or that? And you can do that if you want. But many, many, many years ago, I got a tip from a veterinarian on how to take care of paws on a dog that either ripped a pad or got raw, or, you know how it goes. Any hunter out there knows what I'm talking about, especially chukar hunters. So what I do, and this came from a vet, I use chlorhexidine. I don't know if you can see that.
I got
right
a gallon bottle too. Yeah.
Okay. And I mix that with, and this is what I was told to do, 20% of this and 80% water, and I soak each paw for about a minute. And I try to do that twice a day. And I got to tell you, it's amazing what it does. I did it with a client last year. They called me, and they actually posted this on Facebook. They said they ripped a paw and it was raw, and I told them, do this. And they text me the next day and they go, it's a different dog. It's unbelievable. So that's a tip for you folks out there who have a pup or a dog that has a paw it's raw or it's got a rip out of it. Use that chlorhexidine, I think is how you pronounce it. 20% of that, 80% water, soak each paw for about a minute. I try to do it twice a day, and it's amazing what it does. So anyhow, there's one tip out there.
I pour that same thing into a spray bottle, because the next tip you have to give us is, how do you get your dog to hold still with 4 paws in 4 bowls for a whole minute?
Well, it's actually 4 minutes. I don't do 4. So that's a great question, by the way. The foundation of my training, the foundational command is whoa. Because if I have a dog that I can whoa anywhere, any place, and it won't move, training steadiness later on, being in a safe environment, whoa is like, I can just build off of that. So what I do is I lay a big towel on the floor, and I say tell my dogs up, and they'll get on the towel, because it's like getting on a platform or whatever. And I'll say whoa, and then I take the jar and I do each paw. I just sit on the floor and do each paw with them, and I just keep them on whoa. And they know when I say whoa, they need to stand there. So that's another tip. You get that whoa in place, you can use it for a lot of things, specifically that.
It sounds like to me, whoa is an obedience command. It has nothing to do with birds. Am I reading you right?
Well, let me put it this way. Whoa is an obedience command, 100%, no question about it. But I can use it with birds.
Yeah.
So I don't have a dog. I don't use whoa. Well, I can cheat once in a while, but I don't use whoa to establish a point.
Yeah.
I let the dog establish the point on its own, whether it be flushing birds every time it gets too close, whatever it takes to get that dog to establish a point. But if I already have whoa in place, and when I do use whoa, I put my hand up. If I already have whoa in place, once that dog goes on point, I can either just put my hand up or say, whoa.
Yeah.
And that dog will remain steady, and I can go flush those birds, or I can work on steadiness or what have you. Yeah. I will say that every once in a while, this is a real rarity, folks, a real rarity. There's a bridge that you have to cross from training to actual hunting. There's always a bridge that you have to cross, because you can work with your pup and it can do great in training. It gets out, hits those wild birds or covey birds, and it's like, holy crap, what is this? And off it goes, and it starts busting some birds. So every once in a while, I'll have a client call me, or I'll be dealing with a young pup that's its first time out, and it's just like it's like a pup in a kid in a candy store. It's just it just can't settle down. And I'll tell them, when you see it getting birdie, whoa it. Don't shoot. If those birds flush and that dog hasn't pointed, you can't shoot. Now, that's a big one, because if you're shooting birds that are flush and your dog hasn't pointed, you just taught it to be a flushing dog. But if you have to, this is a rare occasion, and that young dog's first time out just can't settle down into a point, and you see that dog get birdie, whoa, that dog stops, those birds flush, shoot it. It can make that crossing that bridge, that learning curve, a lot easier on that dog. That's the only time I'll use whoa on birds. So,
got it.
So.
In the opening to this podcast, I told a hunting story about two creeks that dried up at opposite ends down there in the Great Basin. You were probably on the other side of that basin waving at me. Um, so tell me about your hunting season. You got anything in particular that pops to the top of your mind about great hunting
Excuse me.
stories?
Well, you know, I'm going to throw another tip out here. This year's hunting, and we've discussed this before, the bird count is down. Every place I'm going, the bird count is down. I started in Montana, sharptail hunting. I love to start there. It was great. We always camp out there and have a lot of fun. And then I came back to Idaho, and then I've been to Oregon for the pheasant opener, and then I've been back to Idaho doing camp. So every place I go, for me, across the board, the bird count has been down. That doesn't matter to me. If I get a couple of birds for my dogs, I'm super happy for that. So I don't mind the bird count being down. But what I have found is that I'm getting almost all mature birds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing any young birds. Therefore, those birds are, I said dog because my dog's sitting there scratching to go lay down a second. Those birds are a lot smarter than the young birds, a whole lot smarter. And so it's like hunting birds. I'm here in November and October, and I'm hunting birds that feel like I'm in January.
Yeah.
They're super smart. So here's what I found I have to do. And this is a tip for folks out there. One of the things I teach is never walk up behind your dog, because dogs can get nervous. When they're on point, you walk right up behind them. If they move, they're probably going to break. So walk around the side of your dog and come in from the side. So that's kind of a common thing that most people know. Some people know what pin or pinching is, which is when a dog goes way out, gets the bird in between you, and works its way back and pins that bird, makes it point, because the bird can feel you and can feel the dog, and it's in between you. What a lot of folks don't do, and I do this in hunting seasons like this, is when my dog goes on point, many times those birds are 30, 40 yards out in front, or they start at 20 and they're moving. I will walk 20, 25 yards out to the left of my dog or right of my dog, and I'll walk 40 to 50, 60 yards out, then come in and then come back towards my dog. That's the way I'm getting my birds. I'm being the dog that's pinning the birds once my dog goes on point.
Yeah.
And I've done that a lot this year. It's a lot harder work, but that's how I'm getting birds.
You know, that's a great lesson. And I use the term mobile blocker, because in effect, that's what you are. I learned that trick on pheasants in a cut milo field of all places. We were always watching those birds run away from us and run away from the dogs. The dogs could creep, they could point, and it didn't matter. Those birds were always just that far away from us. Nothing happened. So I said, hold everything. And I said, don't shoot me. And there's safety first, everybody. But I said, I'm going out and coming back in over there. It may be 50 yards, it may be 20 yards, whatever it is. It's essentially blocking off one more escape route. And that's exactly what you described. I've never been able to pull it off with chukars, but I've been able to pull it off with quail, valley quail, and pheasants. I love that one.
Yeah, I do with chukar a lot. That's right now I'm doing it every time.
Well, I wish I had remembered that the day before yesterday, I think it was. We were walking up a canyon, and do fall for this too. You're looking at the dang GPS handheld the whole time, saying, "Yeah, I'm just going to keep walking that way because that's no." So my cowboy buddy taps me in the shoulder and he says, "No, he's right there." And sure he was. He was up a little side canyon to the side canyon on a little dike. Rock solid. Looked like a magazine picture, sky lit against the robin's egg blue sky. And I said, okay, you go to the left, I'll go to the right. David gets up there before me, and I'm huffing and puffing. I'm not going to get there in time. So I say, all right, now swing out wide. As soon as I said the words, there
they go. Yeah. And that's a great tip for people.
Yeah.
Be quiet. You be quiet. When these birds are smart, if you're talking, those birds are on the move. They're gone. So yeah, that's a great tip to throw out there, and it's on its own. So yeah, chukar hunting is not for the meek, is it?
No, it is. It's very, very humbling, but that's one good reason to do it in and of itself. Hey, everybody, that's George DeCosta. He's an author, a bird dog trainer, avid hunter, obviously. And we're having a great time. I'm Scott Linden here on the Upland Nation podcast. We are going to talk more tips, as well as some essential gear I'd like to go over with you. And then, of course, some more hunting stories because, hey, that's what we do. It's all coming up right here, including our Fix It segment. Now, what are we going to talk about on the Fix It segment? Some late season places you might want to visit if you're sick and tired of walking in the snow. It's all coming up right here on the Upland Nation right after this. Pro Plan Sport dog food is designed for active working dogs just like yours and mine, or just everyday athletes. Say you got a corgi in the house or a smaller dog that has a different job. High protein, real meat is the first ingredient, 100% complete and balanced nutrition for highly active dogs. That's Pro Plan Sport. If you want to learn more about the science behind the nutrition, go to ProPlansport.com. You know, only one brand fuels the most sporting dog champions. They're out to win the game, and so are you and your dog. So learn more at ProPlansport.com. And TrulockChokes.com is where you up your shooting game overnight simply by replacing those factory chokes with something that's been engineered, designed, and manufactured with a little bit more care and expertise. Yeah, they make it really easy. Scott Trulock and his team have put together a choke interchange list. Go to the website, TrulockChokes.com, and match your gun to their list. You'll find all the choke models that they have, whether flush mount or extended choke, many different constrictions, and several different styles, depending on what you're going to use your choke tubes for. Of course, they're all made in Wiggum, Georgia, out of American steel by American employees. Learn more at TrulockChokes.com. Welcome back to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, the host. Learning a lot already from my guest this week, George DeCosta. George is the author of 2 books. You can find both of those under his name at Amazon.com. Hey, while you're there, spend a few bucks on my book too.
There you go.
I still love getting royalty checks. You know, that thing's been in print for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yours too, probably, now that I think about it.
No, my first book's, I think, been out like 6 years, something like that. And then my second book's been out about a year and a half or something like that. If I remember correctly, I'm getting aware my memory, it could have been 20 years.
In a minute. Let me look it up here. By the way, thanks again for that nice inscription in my copy of your book. That was very kind.
Oh, very welcome. Very welcome.
One of the other things that you do, George, and let's make sure everybody understands, you're going to be doing a Train the Trainer seminar finally out near the West Coast. Give us a few details on that.
Yeah, I do. It's called Train the Trainer. And what I'm doing for 2.5 days, basically, is I'm working with you to learn all the techniques that can help you take a dog from puppy to a completely finished dog. I can't do that in 2 days. I can't even do that in 2 months, 3 months most of the time. It takes a while, right? But I can show you the techniques and I can teach you how to read a dog and what to look for. And so I do about a 2.5 day seminar, usually the first day signing books and talking to people, and then 2 days of starting at the beginning and going through the entire process. And I show you how to do the techniques and what to look for in your dog to know what technique to use. I am not a kind of trainer that says, You do it this way and this way. I like to have a whole bag of tools, and whatever way the dog understands best to make it comply is the way we're going to do it. So I show you all those techniques and how to read the dog and what technique maybe to choose. And then we go from start to finish for 2 days. And it's really fun. Everybody that's gone to those just absolutely loves them. And I get all kinds of emails. I don't want to brag about myself, but it's really enjoyable because I get to work with people and I get to show them what I call the domino effect. If you do something here and the domino effect goes, it's way easier on the dog to learn this and this and this and this. But if you take out, the dog doesn't understand, or you've missed something and you try to skip those and come down here, the dominoes haven't flowed. And I teach that in that seminar on how to make sure that that domino has gone into the next one and you're ready to move to the next step. Fun clinic for me. I am totally exhausted when I'm done. My voice is gone. But I've been doing those now back east in Michigan the last 2 years at a place called Muzzy Pheasant Farm. They've been great.
Yeah.
People have been asking me to do it on the West Coast for years. And Tim, do you know Tim Reitman from Lazy Bear Ranch in Weiser? He was on the 85 Chicago Bears Super Bowl team. Pretty cool. He has a really great place out in Weiser, and I'm going to be doing one there in March, 13th, 14th, and 15th, I believe. You can check on his website this year. So West Coast people, come out and see me and we'll have some fun.
Well, it's about a half day's drive. I might come out and bother you a little bit.
Come on out. That'd be great.
Yeah, put my name on the list at the door.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Was that the team with refrigerator on him?
Yes. Yes, he was on that. He was on that team and in that Super Bowl. Yep,
okay.
Yep,
Hey, if you don't know what we're talking about, look him up on YouTube. George DeCosta, we've talked a lot about kind of different things. Number one, what I heard just now was you're not a dogmatic dog trainer. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. But it's about understanding dogs a little bit more while we're training. And again, get back to the horse whisperers that I know, and even the people in the dog world who have done the same thing, essentially. How do we read our dogs a little bit better? How do we understand them? What are the things that are important in that regard that will help us be a better trainer?
Well, I tell people a lot that you can send your dog to a professional trainer, and I'm not against that, but nobody knows your dog better than you do. You're one-on-one with your dog. So reading your dog, you can learn that not only during training sessions, but at home, because it's your dog. What's the tail look like? Is it cowing down? Is it understanding? Is it bright? Does its body language show that it's happy? I do not ever want to ask a dog to comply to something that I'm not 100% sure it understands what I'm asking of it, because that just confuses the dog. Now we have a whole other problem. So as I'm working with the dog, I'm watching its body language. Is it happy? Is it doing what I'm asking of it? Or is it confused and not doing? Some people say, my dog won't do this because it doesn't understand what you're asking of it. That's why I also like to carry, I call my tool bag, of a lot of different techniques to make the dog comply to what I'm asking of it. If one doesn't work and I see that dog is kind of either shutting down or turning its head or its tail's going down, I'll go to the next technique. And all of a sudden it understands and it does it. Now I'm praising it. Now I know that it understands. Now I can even make it comply. A big problem is people try to make a dog comply and they don't understand what's going on. That really screws things up. Once I know that dog knows, now I can actually make it comply. And more importantly, I think, is now I add the positive to the end of the compliance. A lot of people are really quick with, no, don't do this, or do it this way, or do it that way, and then the dog does it and they go, good boy, and off they go. No, if I'm making a dog do something and I have to put heavy pressure on it or get it to comply, it's going to get equal positive pressure at the end. I mean, positive
I get it. Yeah.
response at the end. So I hope that helped. I hope that made sense. I'm not sure.
It does. And you touched on something, one or two of the indications that the dog is finally getting it, if you want to call it that. What are some of the other ways we're working with a dog on something fundamental, like getting him to come back when we call him? When they get there, because they finally got it, they figured it out. What are some of the more outward indications that they are finally starting to understand it?
Well, I'll use the recall, as you said, right? Okay. Sometimes dogs totally understand it. They're just ignoring you. If I have to use something manual, put a lead back on the dog and make it come, I will do whatever it takes to make that dog understand manually. Now I know the dog understands. So if a dog looks at me when I call it and then turns, that's disobedience. That's that I know that dog understood the command. Now we're into, what am I going to do to make it comply? Am I going to put a lead back on it? Am I going to start introducing it to an e-collar? Once I know the dog knows to comply, I'm watching to see, is it not complying because it doesn't want to obey or it didn't hear it? Let me mention something here too, by the way. Quick tip is timing is the key on making a dog comply. Whatever it is, whether you're putting your hands on the dog to make it sit, pulling on a lead, using the knee collar, doing force fetch to put whatever it is in its mouth, timing is the key. So when you are certain that a dog is understanding what you're asking of it, and then it doesn't comply, that's right when you have to do whatever it is you're going to do to make it comply. Don't wait 30 seconds. Don't wait 5 minutes. You have to do it right then, and you have to make sure the dog understands, no, I know you know what I'm asking of you, and you're not going to get away with ignoring me. The next thing on top of that is consistency is the key. If you do that once in a while and don't do it every time, the dog learns that person's not consistent. That man or woman's not consistent. Maybe I can get away with it this time. A quick story. I was having an event at my property here in Idaho. I think it was a NAFTA event. There was a big party afterwards. And there
usually is, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them get too big. And I let my dog out of the car, one of my studs, and there was a girl in season somewhere in crowd, and whoa is my command, right? And I set my dog down and I say, whoa, what does the stud do, right? Off it goes into the crowd, and I'm like, no, whoa, and it's whoa, and I get it to whoa, but now it's 20 feet away from me, and there's 50 or 60 people there, right? I walk up, I pick my dog up off of all fours. This is how I make dogs comply on whoa. I take it back to the spot where I initially whoaed it. I shake it, then I set it on the ground and I say, you whoa. And my dog's like, oh, okay. And I hear somebody tell another trainer, what was that all about? And I hear that other trainer go, he did exactly what he should have done. That dog was definitely not obeying him, and he just let it know, no, I don't care what's going on, a girl in season or whatever, you need to obey when I ask you to obey. I don't care if the Lord and the world is watching. This is the time I need to make you understand that you're not getting away with it, and I'm going to do it in front of God and the world. So anyhow.
That's it. A handler's nightmare.
Yeah.
But I'm in the same boat. I got the same problem you do. Stud dog that probably will let him, let's just call it emotion and biology, rule over virtually every single command in some cases. So we got to learn somewhere, and that's how we learned it. A great solution.
Yeah, and the point there is just, make sure that your dog knows that you're going to make it comply. It doesn't matter where. A lot of that happens in testing, right? I will take a ding in testing. My dog stops. You can't train your dog out there, but I will definitely say no, and I'll get on my dog and say, you whoa, in the middle of a point. I know I'm going to get nailed on my pointing and my steadiness, but I want the dog to know, in front of all these judges, I'm going to make you comply right here. You whoa. And then maybe the next bird it'll do better. So, it's It's your dogs are smarter than you are most of the time. Including me. They tend to train us. So, you have to make it comply when you ask of it.
Well, you talk about compliance and you talk about you can't train during a hunt test, for example. You can't train during a hunting trip. Well, you can a little bit. You just described it. And you can certainly risk untraining a lot. One of the most common questions I get every hunting season is, my dog was a rock star on the table and in the yard and on homing pigeons or killed birds. He brought every bird right back to hand and held it until I told him to release it. Then we go on a hunting trip and all bets are off. It's like a different dog came out of that box. And I actually wrote a piece on this a while back on, well, okay, when desperation is the only thing you have left, you can try this, try that, try this, and try this to get that bird back into your hand before it gets off and buried or swallowed or torn apart. Help everybody with that scenario. It's exciting, I understand. A lot of shots, more shots than in a training situation, maybe more birds than in a training situation. What can you do to help us get that dog back at that very moment? Get the dog back and get the bird back at that very moment.
Okay, that's a really good question, by the way. And it does happen a lot. So there's a couple things there. One is just the real... When a dog is young, this is really important. The dog picks up the bird, starts coming to you, and you walk towards the dog and put your hands out, asking it to give it to you. The dog goes, wait a second, this is mine, stops or goes the other way, right? So one of the things to do is not put your hands out for the bird until the dog gets to you and back up while the dog's coming to you. That entices the dog to come towards you instead of stopping, dropping the bird, or doing something else. So start backing up right away. And that's real basic. We do that right from the get-go when a dog's a pup. Now, getting a little further on, my force fetch, and I have a 5 on my YouTube, I have a 5, whatever you call it, 5 YouTube things that go through force fetch. You will see that I use come and hold. And I'll just touch on force fetch for me real quick. Force fetch is basically 3 commands. Fetch, go out to the bird and grab it. Come back with the bird and hold it as you come back. So it's fetch, pick up the bird, hold, come to me holding the bird. So during my force fetch process, and even right now, by the way, I have a video of Sackett, my young dog. Remember, you might not remember this, but when I was talking about doing whoa, when we did our first podcast, I said all my pups do whoa, and they have to whoa before they get their food. And I set my food bowl down while they're on whoa, and then I tell them to come. So now they're learning to whoa, and they're learning the recall command. You're like, that's a slap your head. That's a slap your head thing. I should have been doing that forever. Yeah. They want to come to their bowl anyway, right?
Right.
Okay. So when they get older, I'm sorry, this is stretched out a little bit. When they get older, I switch that. When I start teaching the dog to hold, which I do when they're young, I switch that from whoa to come and hold. So I'm preparing their food. I make them hold an item. Then I walk away from them and I set their bowl down. They're on whoa with their item in their mouth. And I say, come, hold, come, hold, come, hold, as they run to their food. And then I get the item from them. Right?
Okay? I love it.
That's a twice a day thing. Every morning, every night. That's happening with Sackett right now. So when I force fetch a dog and I'm doing that, repetition creates an automatic response. That's something you'll see in my book. When that dog first picks up its bird, like I said, you can kind of help a dog with a whoa on a rare occasion. Not so much on a rare occasion. For me, when a dog picks up a bird in the wild, it's excited, right? It's excited. It wants to go get another bird. I don't care about this bird. I'm going to go and get another bird. I start backing up and I give those 2 commands. Come, whoa, come, whoa, come, hold, come, hold, come, hold. And the dog's been doing that every day, twice a day. So it runs to me holding the bird. So I'm helping it do the correct thing. And of course, when it gets to me, I load on the praise. Oh, that's such a good boy, good girl, way to do it. So that would be my tips right there is one,
Love it.
back up,
Yeah.
don't pressure the dog, keep your hand still or call the dog to you. And if you've done the come hold, say that as your dog's coming back. Be excited about come hold. Oh, good boy, good girl. And you'll find that learning curve will transfer again on that bridge from actual training to actual hunting easier.
You
I
know,
hope that made sense.
absolutely it does. And I've actually seen people put say a retriever on a place board, lob a treat out, tell them fetch, and then when they get to the treat, tell them here, and the dogs come back and get another treat. So you're using their base instincts to train I guess I'll call it a physical habit, and love both of those. I want to just remind everybody because it'll help me as much as anything else. We seem to forget that we can do a lot of this stuff. We don't have to be the stoic, macho dog handler in the field. If something works for you in the yard or in any other training scenario, unless you're in a high stakes field trial, there's no reason you can't do the same things on a bird hunt. And I just wanted to editorialize a little bit on that.
That's a fantastic comment because I think people don't do that and they don't feel they can do that.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, your dog feels it when you give your dog that same type of praise or that same type of action that you do at home in the field. Okay, now I got it. You'll see. Talking about reading your dog, right? The dog doesn't know what to do, is not sure what to comply. You do the same type of things that you do at home and it complies and you get happy. You can see your dog go, oh, I got, okay. Yeah, now this makes sense. So
I tell a lot of first-time handlers that the dog only does things that are ultimately fun for them, if you want to call it that, satisfying for them, meeting their instinctive needs. So why not capitalize on that? Hey,
Sure.
That's why we go, isn't it? It's not to bring back protein. If my wife ever found out how much it costs per pound to bring those valley quail home, I'm in big trouble. So we may as well have fun at it. And speaking of fun, I want another hunting story. We'll trade one more bird hunting story each. But what was the highlight of your season this year?
The highlight of my season this year. That's hard to say because I do enjoy every moment out there. If there's birds or there's not birds, and that sounds like, oh, he's taking it out. No. I love every moment. I love the camping part of it. I love sitting with friends. I love watching my dogs. I love just being out there. Having said that, the highlight was probably one hunt that I got this year. I was out. The birds are skittish this year, as we've talked, right? And I have 2 dogs on point, and I have huns flush out. It was quite a ways out. I'm 30, 40 yards out, and I take one shot, and I hit one bird. I'm at the top of the hill, and I can see the bird flutter. It's hit. It goes down 80 yards out. My older dog, CK, sees it. Fetch. He goes down. I see the bird go down at the bottom of the hill. Now we're talking now maybe 100 and something yards out plus, and I can see the bird start running down. And I'm like, my dog goes out, right? Going down. Another thing I do a lot, by the way, you'll see that I push throughout the day training. And what I mean by that is like that come hold thing. Every day I'm doing stuff with my dogs. Well, out is one that I use a lot. Before they go outside, I have to say out. Before they get out of the kennel, I have to say out. They learn later on, even when I'm training the duck search, out means keep going. So CK goes out 100 something yards and he's looking for the bird. And he turns back up at me and my out command, I raise my hand, I go out. And he turns around and he starts going. Now I see the bird running up the next hill, the other side. It's going up and it's flopping. You know how when they're wounded, they run and they flop and they run and they flop. And I'm like, oh, he's never going to get that bird. He gets on that track, goes down through the bottom. up the top into the sagebrush. I don't see him. I'm waiting. He's got to be 250 yards, 300 yards out. Easy. He comes out of the sagebrush with that hun in his mouth, and I'm dancing. Yeah, way to go, CK. I mean, I'm going crazy. And I'm, way to go. And he retrieves, he's an older dog, he retrieves that thing all the way up the hill into hand. And let me tell you, I didn't have to do anything else the rest of the year. That was just worth watching him get that retrieve and do that. And, one bird, I don't care. I don't need it. That one bird was worth the season right there. So yeah,
I love it. And what's funny is so many of these highlights of our season end up being a dog that just is relentless about retrieving. I'm going to give you the polar opposite of what you just described. I'm bringing a friend who never gets to hunt quail. So I said, I know a spot. If there's any quail in this county, they're over here. So we're walking up this big valley, and it's got a creek on one side, which, again, peters out in the desert. But sure enough, birds are getting up. David takes a shot. I'm looking the other way, so I don't. He says, I don't think I got it. And I said, are you sure? He says, no, I don't think so. And as we get to this, there's a side gully that dumps into this creek, and it's 3 feet across and 6 feet deep. I said, I'm not sure about that. And I don't argue. If my dog sees a bird fall, I trust him.
absolutely.
And he acted like it. He's already searching. Then all of a sudden he's gone. And I'm thinking, oh, great. And I'm looking on the collar control, trying to find him. He's not 20 feet from us. He's down in that 6 foot deep gully. And as soon as I figured that out, he comes trotting clawing his way up the steep sides of this gully. And there he is with David's bird.
When you see them come out of something like that or with that bird in their mouth, if that doesn't give you a rush and happiness, you probably shouldn't be out there hunting with your dog. I mean, to me, it's just, like I say, I start dancing. Yeah, way to go. I get crazy.
Oh my.
Great story.
Well, we're running close to the end here. So
oh my goodness,
George,
already?
Yeah, I know. We'll have to do this again. George DeCosta, author, trainer, trialer, hunt tester, all those things we love, plus avid hunter. When you're out there in the field, what do you do? What is one thing you do to ensure you're having the best hunt of the day that we should do as well, but probably have never thought about doing?
Boy, you asked some good questions there, Scott. I'm gonna share something that's not just about the hunt. This is what I see often. And we mentioned earlier in this podcast, so we'll go back to it, that I said the bird count is not high. If I get a couple of birds for my dogs and they get a couple of retrieves, I am thrilled. I no longer stay out. Oh, there was a time my friend Bruce and I, dawn to dusk, we're out there trying to get our limit. That was 30 or 25 years ago. I no longer do that. And a mistake I see people make is they work their dog too hard for too long on that hunt because they want to get that other bird or extra bird. And I'll go back to Tim, the football player. Tim has had 9 knee surgeries because he's an old football player, right? When you start working your dog hard, longer than you really should, it's going to pay the price when it gets older. It might be tired that day, it might be exhausted, but as it gets older, it's going to pay the price like those old football players because they are athletes out there. You're asking that dog to play 2 football games in one day when you're pushing it that hard. So I would say that to make my hunt and your hunt more pleasurable and to assure it is to watch the dog and shorten your hunts. Enjoy the time that you're out there enjoy that part of it. It doesn't have to be 4 or 5 or 6 hours. It can be 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. Enjoy those moments in time that you are out there with your dog and your dog is working to please you. And when you get to where you might be overworking your dog, stop. Even though you might want to go on, stop. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the memories of the day and go back to the truck, have a drink, light a cigar, and go back to camp or some mile, whatever turns you on. So I don't know if that's what you're asking, but that would be a tip or would be what I would do.
And so would I. And I don't think you're going to get any objections from the dogs either. And that's probably the best part about it. Couldn't have said it better. George DeCosta. Hey, everybody, if you want to learn more about what he's doing, the seminars, the books, the videos that he's got on YouTube, start at huntinggriff.com. George, always a pleasure. We will cross paths somewhere on the Chukar Hill very soon. Thanks so much for being a part of the Upland Nation podcast.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy speaking with you. I hope I've given some tips for your listeners and thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Have a great, what's left of the season. Take care now. And this part of the program has been brought to you by Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, your Browning headquarters. If you're looking for a new A5, they've got them. And not just the standard, but if you're looking for something a little different, or a Browning in a sub-gauge, for example, or you want a certain configuration, maybe a higher quality wood, Dave Fiedler at midvalleyclays.com is a place to start. He's got a direct line to the factory. He's talking with those guys every week. He knows what they have, and he can get it when somebody else might not be able to. So go to midvalleyclays.com, talk to Dave Fiedler about your shooting needs. He'll guide you down the path to the right gauge, the right type of gun, and I'll bet you many times that will be a Browning. That's midvalleyclays.com. And shoot better with one fell swoop. Put a HiViz sight on the end of your shotgun barrel. It works for me because it forces my mind's eye to see the bead on the end of the barrel because it's a high visibility HiViz sight. Yeah, fiber optic light pipes that virtually glow. So your mind's eye sees that while your real eyes are watching the target. Match them up. Pull the trigger, and the next thing you're going to be saying after wow is fetch. Learn more at HiVizSights.com. Watch the video I produced for them. It's very clear once you watch the video how obvious it is that your mind's eye needs to track the muzzle while your real eyes track the target. HiVizSights.com. Well, let's fix a common problem this time of year. Where do I go hunting when the weather's so crappy? Well, I've been making a quest the last couple of years looking for places where I don't have to hunt while walking in shin-deep snow or worse, and have done a lot of research, and I'm going to share just some generalized locations that might help you get one more day or two out of your hunting season, because the likelihood is these places will have light or no snow and pretty good weather compared to virtually everywhere else. Let's start in the West. I've been really hankering for another Southeast California trip, so watch for my truck down there around Ridgecrest, California. That Colorado River country down there where Arizona and Nevada and California all meet up. Never seen a flake of snow in the last 2 decades. Definitely worth a try, especially if you're after Gambel's quail. Of course, the insiders know that you want woodcocks in the wintertime, you're going to go down to Louisiana. And Missouri is so far south compared to most of the Midwest, if you want to call it that. They've always got something on the table, especially bobwhite quail on public ground. Great program for that down there. In Kansas, if you can't get away from the Midwest at all, I've enjoyed some late season hunts near Osborne and Jetmore. Dodge City's another great place to visit that area. Southwest Nebraska can sometimes have better weather. And if you're stuck in the Pacific Northwest, Southwest Idaho can sometimes be better than a lot of the stuff, say, further west. I've got a lot more suggestions on winter hunting locations and strategies and tactics. Go to findbirdhuntingspots.com. And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter, that Upland Nation newsletter that I've been talking about. Hope that helps. Maybe I'll see your footprints in the very light snow at one of those locations. Well, thank you, George DeCosta, for your insights, your advice, and your wisdom. Lots of fun always talking with you. Let's hope the rest of your season goes as well as mine and yours are going now. If you'd like to learn more about George, go to huntinggriff.com. Thank you to everybody who has told one person about the podcast. That's how we grow around here. If you comment on the social platforms, we get lots of advice and lots of fun out of those as well. If you left a rating or a review, all the better. Of course, we couldn't do any of this without the support of our sponsors, Purina Pro Plan Sport Dog Food, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrulockChokes Tubes, Pointer Shotguns, Sage and Breaker Gun Care Products, Heartland Lodge, Cable Gang Stakeout Systems, and HiViz Shooting Systems. Well, I hope you enjoyed George's talk as much as I did. I hope to see you in the field sometime soon. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for listening to the Upland Nation Podcast.